What is going on, guys? Dr. Autoflower back inside the garden. We're going to do another question and answer. This time, hopefully YouTube won't put us in the doghouse because we're not going to be showing any growing organisms. People have been asking for some more of these, so happy to hop in here and answer some questions that I've been getting. Before we hop into things, if you guys are interested in helping support the channel and you're needing a new grow light, I can hook you guys up with optic LED discount codes. You can contact me and I can help you choose which light is best for your grow situation. You can contact me at drautoflowerled@gmail.com or at Dr. Autoflower on Instagram. And like I've been saying in a lot of these videos, if you guys can smash that like button, it really helps a lot, helps boost these videos. Also, leaving a question or a comment in the comment section really helps a lot too. Gets a lot more traction. So I really appreciate all the viewers who've been doing that, hitting that like button and helping the channel out. And the last thing I want to touch on is I just recently finished up making a documentary on a festival we went to, and it's been something I've been working on for a while now, and I really want to put it up on this channel as I feel it kind of suits this niche a little bit better. And then you guys can check out and see how I have fun outside the garden. So we'll change things up a little bit, give you guys some new content. So that'll be coming out right after this video, and if you guys can watch it, smash that like button and leave a comment on it, I will be really appreciative, as that's something I do want to get into a bit more on this channel, is showing off what I do outside the garden. So James U. Ragnar says, I heard a grower that does 72 hours light on, 24 hours light off, instead of doing 20 hours on, 4 off, or 18 hours on, 6 off. What are your thoughts? So this is definitely a really interesting question. I've personally never heard of someone doing this. This is definitely an experimental thing to do. Would I recommend it? Probably not. I don't see any point at all doing this, because for good stable autoflower genetics, you can run it 24 hours on and you don't need to give it any downtime. You can just run it all 24 hours. I believe on the Mephisto website it actually says you can grow all their genetics just like that, just 24 hours on the whole way through. And some people like to do that just because you're giving your light, and more light means more growth. I've done that before, I've gotten decent results, but I do believe that giving them some dark time, some rest time is definitely beneficial. So I do like to give at least 4 hours off or 6 hours off. Would I see any benefit at all doing 3 days on and 1 day off? No, I don't think so, because to me that sounds like they're missing out on 1 day of growth for every 4 days. So when you add that up, that's like almost 2 weeks probably of growth you're missing out on throughout the life, maybe a week and a half or something like that. So I really would not do that. I definitely would not recommend it at all. And I definitely don't see what the benefit would be. Like, if you're going to run it on 24 hours, why not just do it the whole grow? Why give it any time off? And then when you're giving it 1 day off, that doesn't make sense either. They don't need 1 day of darkness. It just doesn't make sense. Tark3469 says, beautiful, how long were your plants vegging for? I'm guessing you're talking about the plants in my last video, probably the big ones too. They were vegging for probably like 4 months in solo cups, so they got really root bound, and they stayed in those solo cups way too long. I do not recommend it at all. I would only recommend using solo cups like that for like a couple weeks, and then you'd want to transplant them once they start growing at a normal pace. Once they cloned and starting to grow, I would probably want to transplant ASAP. But also, if you don't have the room to transplant them in and you want to save space, you could do what I did, but I would definitely recommending feeding them properly all the time, making sure their pH is on point, making sure there's no fluctuations so they're starting to get stressed and go yellow and stuff like that. Keep them nice and healthy. You'd want to definitely tame them and trim them down because they'll bush up way too much in a cup. But I think my big plants probably vegged for like 5.5 months or so, or more. I'm not sure. I didn't really keep track, but definitely one of the longest veg times I've ever done. Philip Green says, I have an issue with lack of humidity. Any suggestions for low maintenance compact unit? So this is something I don't do, and you definitely could do it. You can go get a humidity unit and it, you know, sprays the fog around or whatever. I know people who live in like really dry areas like deserts or, you know, just dry humidity places. Some of them like to do this. They'll go buy a unit and keep it in their tents during veg. Personally, I don't. I do also live in a low humidity place. Sometimes the humidity can get pretty damn low, It's just not something I worry about. I keep things very simple in my grows. I don't really see a massive difference when the humidity's perfect amount or when it's a little bit too low. I just don't see like a big drastic change in growth. But some people do like to have everything perfect for their grow. So if you're one of those people, you can go look on Amazon. It's probably the cheapest way to do that and get a unit. For me, running 410s, once I got some big girls in here, they usually help produce that humidity, because the bigger plants you got, the more humidity they sweat out. Same if you're using bigger pots. If you're using like a 5 gallon, 7 gallon or more, the more soil you're watering, the more humidity it's going to put off too, because it evaporates when the lights are on. And that's the way I keep my humidity a little bit higher than I would normally. And that's the way I keep the humidity at a decent range. And when you don't defoliate, the more leaf you have on the plants, the more it's going to raise the humidity in your grow room. So if you wanted to decrease your humidity, you do a big leaf strip, and that should help a lot too. Pat G asks, does the darkness before flowering also work on autoflowers to go into flower, or just photo periods? No, you do not need to do this with autoflowers. Autoflowers just automatically start flowering. You don't need to start messing with the times, the lights on at all. They just have it in their genetics to just start flowering at about probably day 16 to day 21. That's usually when they start flowering. And that's if they're stable autoflower genetics. If they're not stable, if they're not good quality autoflowers, they could not flower in those times. And if you do run into that, then the only way to flower them, if they're not flowering on their own, is to actually flip them to 12 and 12. Then you pretty much have to. And if you don't, they probably won't flower, or they'll have issues with flowering. Tim asks, you're stuck on an island, you can only bring one type, what would you guys bring? Favorite strain, cultivar, breeder of all time, thanks for your time. This is definitely an interesting question. I would probably bring some Mephisto genetics. I would definitely want them to be regular males and females so I could do some breeding and stuff. I'd probably want to go with something really dank like a Cosmic Queen or something like that. I remember that was probably one of my favorite autoflowers I've grown. And that way I could have lots of seeds and just always have a continuous grow, always coming down, always be harvesting. So yeah, that's probably what I'd go with. J&K Triple G asks, great video, what percentage is your lights right now? Pretty much all my lights are about 50% power. I have them at different heights away from the plants, but they're getting pretty much exact the power I need right now. And I will slowly ramp it up to where they need it. And I've been doing like a balance. The plants are always growing, so I always check the par, make sure it's matching, but it's pretty much been keeping around 50%. And that way they're still up in the par the further they're growing up, and getting pretty much exactly what they need. So once they stop growing vertically, then that's when I'll start amping up the power to what I need. But then when they reach that, I don't normally have to crank it too much after that. I just match what par I need, and I go from there. Piff 1000 asks, quick question, my new growth is coming in funky, leaves twisting. Wondering if it's too much light on them, or are they hungry? I let them eat damn near everything in the pot, and they're under a slim 320S at 45% at 27 inches. I would definitely say check your par. There's apps for it. You can get a lux meter and do lux to par conversion. Very simple. You can just check it out on YouTube. Highly recommend it. And that way you're not guessing. In my opinion, guessing what your par is really not good. It's almost like guessing how much nutrients you're giving. You wouldn't want to be doing that. You wouldn't want to be giving a random amount of nutrients. That's probably the first thing I would do, is check your par and make sure you're not giving too much. But without pictures, I can't really be too sure on what the issue is. Maybe it's your heat, maybe it's getting too hot in there. And I'm also not sure which way your leaf's curling, because there's multiple different ways they can curl. If they curl down like that, maybe they're getting too much nitrogen, or if they're folding upwards, maybe they're getting too much heat. It's hard to say without pictures. The Dude Abide asks, would it be better just to do one huge bud? You can, because like I got one of these autoflowers right behind me. It was a little bit of a runt, but I just let it go. I was going to pull it out, but I thought, might as well just let it grow and just see what happens. That'll be one just cola plant. Do I like to do that? No, I do not recommend it. I would definitely recommend training your plants and getting them to turn into bushes with multiple tops. The more tops you have, the more main colas, and the top colas all have the best buds. And that's kind of what you would want to go for, a plant with a bunch of more top buds. Some people like to grow them up into Christmas trees and get one big massive bud up top and stuff. But then you're getting a lot more smaller buds down the middle and the bottom. So I don't really recommend that. I would do more of a bush style. E-Rex says, I think I prefer flipping just straight to 12 to 12. And I guess he's talking about not giving them 24 hours of light. I also do that sometimes too. Sometimes I give it a dark period. It kind of depends if I want to play around or whatnot. You don't have to. It's not necessary. But sometimes it seems like it does help it flip to flower a little bit faster. Jay Keith says, hey, I have a question. How do you water organic soil? Because I've heard that you need to dry it out sometimes, but I've also heard living soil needs to be wet all the time. I don't want to overwater, especially when they're seedlings. I can't keep 8 liters of soil wet without overwatering, right? So yeah, it's a little bit touchy when you are first starting off in organic soil. I'm pretty sure you're right. You don't want them like going bone dry. But I think when you're just starting off, you don't want to overwater. You want to start off with small amounts and work your way up. And then once they're bigger and they have a bigger root system, then you want to fully saturate. And then make sure your soil isn't going bone dry. You don't want them always dripping, soaking wet, but you also don't want them to go past being like moist. Like there still should be some moisture in there. You don't want it completely bone dry. Because I do believe I've heard that it does mess with the microorganisms in it. So definitely something to watch for. And that is also a reason why I switched from organic soil. It is less forgiving. So if you're a busy guy and you don't catch it in time, it could cause issues, could cause pH issues and fluctuations. So yeah, you really want to keep an eye on it. Jack McJoint says, what kind of goggles do you have? I guess you mean glasses. These are the Method 7 full spectrum LED glasses. So really love these, especially for these kind of grow lights. They got multiple different glasses for whatever kind of grow light you have. For blurples, there's a blurple kind. For full spectrum, there's these kinds. For HPS and other ones, there's different kinds. So definitely worth it. These are probably the best glasses in the industry. So definitely recommend them. Don Cloud says, hey Dr. Autoflower, why are you flipping your flowers if you're growing autoflowers? I get asked this question quite a bit sometimes. I do say in every video pretty much which are the autoflowers. The autoflowers that are in this tent here right behind me, my 2x4, they're always in this tent. And in all the other tents we got photo periods, and when they need a flower they need to be flipped. So that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for my next video coming out. Make sure you watch that. That's going to be the Dr. Autoflower Outside the Garden video. That'll be my documentary of a festival I went to. You'll see Dr. Autoflower outside the garden and having fun, so definitely check that out, and I really appreciate it if you guys can smash that like button, leave a comment. Same on this video too. And if you got any questions, make sure you leave it down below in the comment section too, and they can be featured on the next episode when we do more question and answers. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. Much love and peace out. Catch you guys later.